If you're in a bit of a food rut, you've got to watch this video because I really let what's in season right now, the fall produce that's available right now, kind of dictate what meals I make. And I ended up coming up with some really cozy fall meals that were easy to make, delicious, nourishing, balanced, all that stuff we like, but also just comfort foodie, a little bit different and very cozy. All the recipes are going to be in the description box below, so I hope you get some good ideas from this video. Thank you to Native for teaming up with me, and let's jump right into breakfast. One of the best things about fall is that apples and pears are super delicious, like especially tasty. And so sometimes I just cut them up and put them right on top of my oatmeal or cereal or vegan yogurt and call it a day. But I find that on the days where I have a little bit more time to bake the apples with some maple, cinnamon, vanilla, and sea salt. You could even do a squeeze of fresh orange juice or a little bit of lemon juice. Toss that all together and bake it. You're gonna bake at 375 just until everything is nice and tender. This will depend on how large you cut the fruit, but you basically want it to be really soft and tender, and give it about 20 to 30 minutes at least if you're gonna cut it roughly the same size that I did. And that way the fruit will really break down and become intensely flavorful. I like to do this in a big batch because it's even better the next day and it holds up really well in the fridge. On this morning, I served it on top of some oatmeal and I used some sunflower seed butter. I like that this one is organic and it doesn't have any added sugar, and I just topped that with a little bit more cinnamon. And if you could smell how incredible my kitchen smelled at this point, it was so great. I also had some coffee with some soy milk, and this was just such a cozy way to start the day. I had to update my Instagram stories. If you guys aren't following me there, I love to share meal ideas there as well. I'll put the full recipe for this oatmeal in the description box below. So this week is going to be my vegan anniversary. This week I will have been vegan for 7 years. It's kind of crazy to think about, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, because in some ways I feel like I've been vegan for way longer than that. In some ways it feels like I just went vegan yesterday. It's really become kind of the lens through which I see the world, which is in whatever way I possibly can, big or small. I just want to do the least harm and try to have as much compassion as possible and take as much personal responsibility as possible. And I think that's one of the coolest things about veganism, is that it's taught me that actually my daily choices and my individual choices really do make a difference, and that little change can lead to big change. If you think about 3 meals a day, that's 3 choices that you make every single day, plus a lot of times it's like snacks and desserts and treats. All of those little choices, let's say 3 to 5 a day, times 365 days, times 7 years, really adds up. And those little changes lead to saving thousands of animals' lives and thousands of gallons of water and reducing your carbon footprint and all of that. And more than anything, it's just this really wonderful feeling knowing that the little things that I do in a day consistently and, intentionally really do make a difference. And it's just such an empowering feeling that I feel like, especially now that I've been vegan for a long time, it really does kind of affect the way that I see other things besides just food. I really do try, when given the option, if there's an eco-friendly, sustainable, of course, cruelty-free and vegan, like I factor all of that into all of the areas of my life, not just the food. And I know that those little daily choices add up as well. It's just a great feeling. I would love to know if you guys can relate to that. But I wanted to let you guys know about the deodorant that I've been using for the last 3 years. I think I started using it in either 2018 or 2019. And it's kind of in line with what I was just saying about daily choices, and when there's like a little bit of a better option, choosing that, and how that really does make a difference. And so they have this new plastic-free packaging on their deodorants. It's the exact same formula, and it's the one that I've been using, like I said, for 3 years, so I know that I love it. But it's this new and improved plastic-free packaging, and each one of these deodorants saves 37 grams of single-use plastic. And I think about all of the deodorants that I've used over the years and all of that packaging, and it's just so cool to know that there are options like this, cruelty-free and vegan. I also like that these deodorants dry very quickly and they don't feel like kind of sticky or wet under my arms, because that's not a feeling that I'm a fan of, and the scents last for a really long time. And a couple years ago when I first started using Native, I was all about the cucumber scent. It was just my favorite. It was such a clean, fresh, just lovely smell. And then I discovered the lavender rose, and that's kind of become like my everyday scent. But in the summer, I was all about the coconut vanilla scent. I pretty much only wore that scent all summer long. Normally 3 of these plastic-free deodorants would cost $39, but if you use my link and code in the description box below, you can get them for just $26, which is 33% off. So don't snooze on that offer. It's just really well made. So it's one of those tiny little daily choices that I can make in my everyday routine that just, adds up, makes a difference over time, and that makes me feel really good. But now I'm gonna get some work done, and I'm gonna show you a fun lunch recipe using another seasonal ingredient, which is Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are the kind of thing I usually think of at dinner time, but I've really been liking using them to make, actually either at breakfast or lunch, I'll make this savory ricotta toast, and it sounds a little bit strange at first, but the combination of flavors is so good. And later today, I also wanna go through, I have like decor boxes in my closet, and I have a fall/Christmas box that everything's kind of in there together, and I would really like to go through that, kind of pick out some of my favorite fall pieces to use throughout the house just to kind of bring in the season, and also just because I love having, you know, different props in my photos for food photography. So if I'm making fall recipes, I love having like plates and bowls and cups that have those warmer colors and textures to kind of give that feel. So I know I have a lot of those packed away, but for now I'm gonna go get some work done, and I will see you guys at lunchtime. Brussels sprouts are one of my favorite vegetables that are in season right now. They're so versatile, and I love cooking them this way, either as the toast like I'm gonna show you, or as a great side dish. It's actually good hot or cold, so definitely add this to your meal prep. I'm just gonna go ahead and shred some of these Brussels sprouts. You can do this ahead of time and just keep it in the fridge until you're ready to cook. I like to use a food processor just because it makes it so fast, but you can definitely do this with a knife. I'm gonna start by browning a little bit of tempeh bacon, add my shredded veggies along with garlic powder, some maple syrup, salt, pepper. You can do a little bit of red pepper flakes too. And then I add a handful of raisins and walnuts, and oh, it is such a great combination. You've got the savory, you've got a touch of sweetness, you've got that kind of earthiness from the veggies, and seriously, this combination is heaven on its own, but even better when you top it on some sourdough bread with some vegan ricotta. It really checks all the flavor boxes, but also the nutrient boxes too, and it comes together in about 10 minutes. So you've got a nice balance of carbs, fiber, healthy fats, protein, and one tasty fall-inspired meal. I know you guys are gonna love it, so the description box has the recipe. Chocolate covered almonds from Deliciously Ella, and they're actually orange chocolate, like dark chocolate orange. They have a tiny little bit of orange oil in the chocolate. I love having like a handful of these in a cup of tea if I'm working on the computer, or just like right now when I just want a little boost of energy, a little pick me up, but I don't really feel like fussing in the kitchen. I'll grab these and just get a handful. And sometimes if I'm wanting something sweeter, because these actually aren't that sweet despite being coated in chocolate, I'll do a handful of these and like a handful of dried cherries or a handful of dried cranberries, and that's like a really nice snack too. I'm gonna be decorating my apartment now. I pulled out some of my fall decor, and I'm looking at it right now, I don't have that much. It's mostly coffee cups because I love collecting coffee cups, and especially like seasonal types of cups. I've always loved that. So that's the bulk of what I have, but I kind of think that's okay because I feel like right now a lot of what I'm seeing on Pinterest and on TikTok is just that more subtle fall decor. Like the trend seems to be more about kind of bringing nature indoors and having it just be a little bit more subtle. So it's like bringing the warmth and the natural beauty of fall and the warm colors and the textures inside rather than having like fall themed decor everywhere. I'm gonna put on a playlist, something like acoustic and indie and coffee shop vibes, and get started. Okay, so the coffee cups are definitely the part of my fall decor that are the most like intensely fall, but I love all of these so much, and each of them kind of reminds me of a specific time. And this is like my favorite Halloween mug because first of all, it's humongous, and there's a little pumpkin on the bottom. I got this at like Marshall's or TJ, actually Home Goods, I remember. I got this at Home Goods, and I love how big it is because obviously it's great for like warm drinks, but also for soup, especially when you want like a bowl of soup, but it's like cozy to have in a mug, you know, especially if you're like watching a movie or something. And this is the one I like to have on Halloween when I'm like watching Halloween movies and eating candy. It's just like a tradition at this point. And this one is my favorite. This is my favorite color, this terracotta color. And it says, "Hello, pumpkin." And then I have this one. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did a Gilmore Girls themed What I Eat in a Day, where I did a vegan version of like everything I ate in a day was somehow Gilmore Girls related. So I made cherry danishes because they talk about cherry danishes all the time. I did the fried chicken sushi that Lorelai was talking about with Suki at the inn. And then I also did like a mac and cheese recipe because there's that iconic, like when I think of Gilmore Girls, I think about them sitting in the living room eating making mac and cheese out of like a mixing bowl, like a huge salad bowl. And so I created recipes based on some of my favorite Gilmore Girls moments. So I linked that below. But this cup was, I think, the star of the show. I also have this garland, which as you can see is very tangled at the moment, so I'm gonna have to work on that. And I like the neutral color palette. I think it makes it to where you can have fall decor, but it's like a little more subtle. And I usually drape this up on, I have a mirror over there in the corner, so that's kind of what I typically do. I think I'm gonna do it again. These are little Halloween plates, and I brought them out because if I do like a Halloween movie night, I think it's fun to have like really over the top Halloween decor specifically. But also I want to do some Halloween recipes on this channel and also on TikTok and Instagram, so I thought it's fun to use my plates. So cute. Do you ever have those moments where you feel like you're your own parent and you're like, Nicole, next time when you put the fall decor in the box, put it away nicely so you don't have to do this? For dinner on this night, I wanted to make a pumpkin pasta. I have a lot of canned pumpkin in the pantry right now, so I decided to make a really easy pasta sauce. I'm gonna start by roasting the veggies. I've got broccolini, and this is the salt that I always use. I always mention in my blog post that I use Morton's, and I specify for a reason because this is actually a very salty salt, which kind of changes the ratio of the recipe. So if you are out on the market looking for kosher salt and you wanna make the recipe just like I do, then that's the one that I use. I'm also gonna go ahead and season these chickpeas with some really delicious earthy cumin, some poultry seasoning, which is a blend of herbs, salt and pepper. You could do some red pepper flakes too if you like. And then we're gonna roast this, and roasting it is really gonna bring out the flavor and kind of crisp up the edges of the broccolini, which makes it so good. Then I'm gonna make the pasta sauce, and this is really easy. I'm gonna start by making a roux with some vegan butter and flour, make that into a paste, and then slowly add my soy milk. You can do any kind of plant milk you like as long as it's unsweetened. Then I'll add some depth with some miso paste and just add the canned pumpkin. And this is gonna be a really beautiful, vibrant orange sauce, but as you can see, it's pretty thick. Later on, we're gonna add some pasta water, and that's gonna thin it out and make it perfect. I add my spices like sage and allspice and nutmeg. It's gonna smell so good. And while that's simmering away, I'm gonna cook my pasta and make sure to reserve about 1.5 cups of the pasta liquid. This is gonna be nice and starchy, and it's gonna help to create the perfect sauce. Then I'm just going to drain the pasta and add it to the pumpkin sauce along with our roasted veggies and seasoned chickpeas and, of course, the pasta water. And at first it's gonna look a little soupy like this, but once it cooks kind of slowly on medium low heat and you're kind of stirring it like I'm doing here, it's going to get really thick and glossy and coat every single noodle perfectly. And I love this because it's earthy and herby with a little bit of like a spicy warming kick from the nutmeg and allspice. It's so good. I really hope you guys love it. This was the perfect all-in-one dinner, and I will put the recipe below. I'm always so grateful that you guys are here and watching, but especially this week, I'm just reflecting on the last 7 years of my vegan journey and my time on YouTube sharing vegan recipes, and you guys are what motivates me and keeps me really excited to share recipes. So thank you so much for following along and for your support and kind messages. Let me know in the comments if you are vegan and how long you've been vegan, and I will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye everyone.